Hey everybody, thanks for joining me. Today I'm going to be looking at 5 recent metal CD pickups, and we're going to start off with Circular Supremacy, the 2002 album by Tidfall. This was released on Nocturnal Art Productions, which was Samuel from Emperor's record label. And I never heard these guys until recently. I've always been nostalgic for 90s and early 2000s Norway. So here we are. I definitely had the wrong impression by this. Judging by the cover and like the overall presentation, I was thinking this would be kind of an industrial black metal, spacey black metal. But it's not that at all. It's definitely symphonic black metal. And I would say it's easily 2/3 Anthem's era Emperor, and probably 1/3 Enthroned Darkness Triumphant era Dimmu Borgir. So definitely the popular style of Norwegian symphonic black metal. But the thing is that like, who really holds a candle to Emperor doing this style? No one, if you ask me. So it falls short in that respect. But it definitely scratches that Norway itch, and although I don't see myself pulling it out all that often, definitely a cool release that I'm happy to have in my collection. Another similarly solid album that I don't see myself spinning all that often is this right here. This is Possessed 13 by the Swedish band The Crown. So this is their, I think, 6th album if you include their prior incarnation as Crown of Thorns. And they're often labeled as a melodic death metal band, but I have a hard time calling them that. I would say they're a death metal band with a lot of thrash elements and a good sense of melody. What's the difference? Maybe not a lot, but melodic death metal doesn't sound heavy enough to label these guys. So it's well-played professional death metal, a little bit of rock and roll still intact from their breakthrough album, Death Race King, a couple years before this. But definitely got some cool tracks on here. I like Deliverance, Zombified, the outro, the short closing instrumental, In Memoriam. And I said Zombified, definitely had me thinking of Slaughter of the Soul era, At the Gates. And speaking of At the Gates, actually, look at a couple more. The Crown albums. Thomas Lindberg did join the Crown for one album, that is Crown in Terror. And then several years later, the original vocalist would return to the band, and they would re-record the whole entire thing and call it Crowned and Holy. So I didn't mean to buy both of these. Just over the years, I found them both for really good prices and picked them both up. So this album also comes with a second disc, Bonus 13. So my first reaction was, I don't think I like this album enough to bother with a bunch of bonus tracks. And I had the CD sitting in my car for weeks. And when I finally said, okay, I'll put it in, right away I was like, wow, I really like this. I like these bonus tracks far more than the album itself. So when I looked into it, these bonus tracks are the early demos by The Crown. Still thrashy death metal, but more old school and raw. I like the vocals better, and I'm hearing influences from Deicide, Big Time Vader vibes, and there were even a couple tracks that had a strong Sacramentum thing going on. So yeah, I thought the bonus tracks were really cool, and I think I need to check out the earliest Crown material. Next up, we have Christian Mistress, Possession. This came out on Relapse in 2012. And when I bought this and stuck in the car stereo, I I guess I didn't realize how familiar with this album I already was, but I'm so glad I have a copy. American heavy metal that they put out 3 full-length albums between 2010 and 2015. They became inactive, but as far as I know, they're back doing their thing again. And I don't want to make, too obvious comparisons, but I think Savage Master is a good comparison. American, female-fronted, classic heavy metal. Dark and serious, but still really fun to listen to. And my favorite tracks on here gotta be the opener, Over and Over, The Way Beyond, the title track. My favorite one is probably Haunted Hunted. And Black and Gold's a really cool song too. That one reminds me of Old Danzig meets Old Iron Maiden. So, Christian Mistress, awesome band. I don't hear people talking about them as much as I did several years ago, and I hope to hear a new album from them sometime soon. Recipe Ferrum 777 by Tormentor. Tormentor are most known as probably the most famous Hungarian metal band, an innovator of earlier black metal, and the first band of Attila, who went on to front a lot of bands in extreme metal, but far and away most famously Mayhem, the De Mysteriis album from many years ago, and then the last, I think, 3 or 4 Mayhem full lengths have had Attila back on vocals. So this was put out in the year 2000, and this is actually a 2023 re-release on Peaceville. So yeah, the early Tormentor demos, that's what the band's most known for, and this is, to this day, the one and only full-length album they ever put out, but very, very different from the old stuff. See, this has a reputation as an extremely weird album, and it is, but not in the way I thought. Weird in that there's definitely some pretty accessible moments on here, and some of my favorite moments. You got the little match girl, Cara Mia, and especially the intro. Lots of anthemic, fun, like air guitar, Guitar God stuff going on in here. Kind of sticks out, but it's really fun too. And you're also getting a more full spectrum Attila. As much as Attila had a very unique style, I think it's become somewhat, he uses his style consistently throughout the Mayhem albums, not changing it up that much. And a lot of people have also kind of taken on that style as the years have gone on. The album definitely starts getting into very weird territory near the end, and it starts to lose me a bit. I love weird metal, but again, this just started losing me the last couple tracks on the album here. And finally for today, we're going to look at Unchain the Wolves, the debut 1997 album from the Australian black and thrash band Destroyer 666. When I was young, I always kind of thought of these guys as being more of a war metal band, but if anything, I always call them, although very serious, it's like party music for extreme metal biker types. I've always loved these guys, but slacking big time on actually buying their releases. So I've always felt this was my favorite one, and so I proceeded to pick this one up. My 3 favorite tracks are the title track, Unchain the Wolves, Satan's Hammer, and Tyranny, which is a longer, more epic song with a lot of different elements sprinkled into it. All culminating in a classic 90s metal album. And thanks for joining me. See you next time.